Tonight, a violent mass shooting at a church in Texas may have been a result of domestic violence dispute. We'll have the details.
And President Trump arrived in Japan on Saturday. It is the first country he will visit during the 5-country tour of Asia. We have more on that story.
And Shalane Flanagan becomes the first woman to win the New York City Marathon since 1977. We will have all those stories and more coming up on HNN.
I'm Jessica Yan, and this is HNN Now.
And I'm Brady Halblab. Here's our top story. A 26-year-old gunman dressed all in black opened fire at a Baptist church in Sutherland Springs, Texas, during Sunday's service, killing 26 people and injuring 20. Investigators found that Kelly bought 4 guns in the last 4 years, 2 in Colorado and 2 in Texas. In April 2016, Kelly purchased the Ruger AR-556 rifle that he used in the shooting from the Academy Sports and Outdoor store in San Antonio, Texas. The suspect was seen in the Valerio gas station across the street from the church in Sutherland Springs in about 11:20 a.m. local time on Sunday morning. The suspect left the gas station, crossed the street, exited his vehicle, and began firing before he entered the church. As Kelly left the church, a local resident used their own rifle to engage them. The shooter then fled the church while the citizen pursued him. Kelly was then found dead a while later in his vehicle.
Texas now mourns the loss of 26 victims ranging from 18 months to 77 years old. 14-year-old Annabelle Pomry's daughter of First Baptist Church pastor Frank Pomry was amongst those killed this Sunday. Both Pomry and his wife Sherry were out of town during the shooting. Annabelle's mother had this to say when asked about Annabelle's life. Amongst those lives taken were 8 members of an extended family, Crystal Holcomb, along with 3 of her children, Emily, Megan, and Greg. Holcomb was 8 months pregnant. Crystal's in-laws, Carla and Brian Holcomb, also fell victim to this tragic mass shooting. Fellow church members Joan Ward and her young daughters, 5-year-old Brooke Ward and 7-year-old Emily Garson, were also victims of the massacre. These are just some of those succumbed to the Sutherland Springs mass shooting. The several wounded victims are being treated at the 3 hospitals, including Connolly Memorial Medical Center in Forestville, University Medical Center, and Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio. President Trump has been closely monitoring developments in Texas, where he suggested the gunman had mental health problems. The president is in Japan, where he met with Japanese leader and had special requests for Japanese automakers.
And we love it when you build cars. If you're a Japanese firm, we love it. Try building your cars in the United States instead of shipping them over. Is that possible to ask? That's not rude. Is that rude? I don't think so.
And former Congressman Anthony Weiner reported to the federal prison in Massachusetts today. The 53-year-old was sentenced in September to 21 months in federal prison for sexting with a minor. The charge stems from a social media chats Weiner had with a 15-year-old girl early last year. In addition to the prison term, Weiner will also serve 3 years of supervised release. Under terms of his probation, he must also register as a sex offender. Weiner will also participate in an outpatient sex offender treatment program. And a new tropical depression is forming down in central Atlantic. The depression is centered about 900 miles east of Bermuda and is expected to turn northward. Experts say the formation will become Tropical Storm Rena later today. But the good news is it doesn't pose a threat to land. The Atlantic hurricane season officially ends November 30th.
A U.S. Senator from Tennessee is recovering from 5 broken ribs after an attack. We will have that story after this break.
Hey everybody, it's going to be just plain hot out there. So stay cool in your abode and keep your eyes on the road when you're traveling. Hey, weather this weekend a lot.
Every year, almost 40 children die of heat stroke after being forgotten in a vehicle. In 70-degree weather, it takes only minutes for the inside of a car to heat up like an oven. At 104 degrees, heat stroke begins, followed by loss of consciousness.
Yeah. Should go an hour and a half or so.
without your child, live without them forever. Look before you lock. Brought to you by Kids in Cars.
Rand Paul's absence from the Senate may prove troublesome for the GOP. Paul is currently on the road after recovering being assaulted in Kentucky by his neighbor Rene Boucher. Boucher was charged with a misdemeanor, 4th-degree assault with a minor injury. That minor injury was 5 broken ribs for Paul. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell wished Rand Paul a speedy recovery. But McConnell may have an issue on his hands should Paul be out of commission for an extended period of time. The majority among Republicans is slim as it is, and McConnell made it clear that every person is needed. It is currently unclear when Senator Paul will return to work.
Now the entertainment news with our Peyton Muse. Peyton?
Thank you, Jessica. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is at a halt this week while the star mourns the death of his mother. Fallon's mother, Gloria, died at 68 on Saturday due to an undisclosed illness. The late-night talk show will air reruns for the rest of this week. Selena Quintanilla received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame on Friday. The singer's sister honored Selena and accepted the star on her behalf. Selena was murdered in 1995 by the president of her fan club. The singer's English crossover hit, Dreaming of You, reached number 22 on the Billboard's Top 100s in 1995. Selena's family, fans, and actress Eva Longoria attended the ceremony. The actress tweeted, quote, "About last night, it was such an honor to be a part of the Hollywood Walk of Fame star unveiling of Selena Quintanilla's Latinas." The fallout with Kevin Spacey continues. Netflix cuts ties with the House of Cards actor after the sexual misconduct allegations. The streaming service said in a statement that they're evaluating options for House of Cards and canceling the movie Gore that was in post-production. Thank you, Brady and Jessica. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Peyton. A nonpartisan tax analysis group says the proposed House Republicans' tax cut would mean more than a quarter of all Americans will get a tax increase by 2027. The tax policy centers also says that in 2018, when the measure would first take effect, 12% of people would see higher taxes, and people earning less than $48,000 annually would see tax cuts of 0.5% or less of their after-tax income. The top 1% of earnings, people making more than $750,000, would get a small tax cut.
667 files were released last Friday revealing shocking information about JFK's assassination and Martin Luther King Jr. Trump ordered the National Archives to make all files from the Kennedy assassination public to clear conspiracy theories about Kennedy's assassin, Lee Harvey Oswald. The documents showed that Oswald had ties to both Russia and Cuba, but had no relation to the CIA or other agencies. Hidden in the files was a never-before-seen document painting civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. in an unpleasant light. These documents state that associates of King had possible ties to communists. The files also claim that King's civil rights organization, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, was, quote, tax dodge, and contained information about marital affairs and sexual misconduct.
And yesterday was a big day for Shalane Flanagan. She was the first woman to win the New York City Marathon since 1977. Yes, it was a triumphant return to the New York City Marathon, a race Flanagan did not run since she placed second in 2010. Winning the marathon, Flanagan effectively dethroned Mary Keaton, who was originally ahead of Flanagan in the race, and the marathon went on schedule despite the deadliest terror attack to occur in New York City since 9/11. Taking place 5 days before. This was especially meaningful for Flanagan, who ran in 2013 Boston Marathon, at which a bomb killed 3 and injured 260 others. Upon crossing the finish line, Flanagan called the moment indescribable, and she said she was savoring her win. The New York City Marathon marked her return to racing after back injury last winter, which kept her out of the Boston Marathon in spring.
That's Hofstra News Now. Tonight, I am Jessica Yon.
I'm Brady Halbleib. Join us next week for another edition of H&N. Good night.